You're listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, a proud member of the CLNS group of podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to all of those shows on the Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel to get great Patriots content all week long. But tonight, it's you guys here at Patriot Nation. Pat Lane here with my guy, Matt St. Jean. And Matt, man, felt good to go down to Tennessee and get a win. Didn't look like it was going to be promising at the beginning, but the Patriots figured it out by the end and won away. Won this one running away.
They don't ask how. They just ask how many. And I think today was a very good example of that. Some real ugly moments in a game. You end up winning pretty easily. A game that kind of swings around the midpoint of it decisively in New England's favor. And I think we've said that about a lot of the games in this stretch, that they're kind of the coach's dream games where you're able to go on the road and get a win, especially in this case, a comfortable win, and still go back and you got things to work on and things you can improve, which I think was kind of the gist of Mike Vrabel's speech to the team after the game.
Yeah,
a lot we did well, a lot we can do better, and you got one more game coming up here in the easier stretch of the schedule before we start to get another test. So I think that what we saw with Cleveland this week, maybe I don't know what to make of that game, to be quite honest with you. I don't know. I'm not going to look too far ahead to next Sunday. I just have no clue what's going on there. But they won today. I'm happy. 5 wins.
Yes.
Number 2 in the AFC right now.
Pretty unbelievable. It's pretty unbelievable. And you think about the turnaround they had from last year, right? Winning 4 games all last year and now having, 5 wins 7 games into the season. And, the play, this isn't a fluke, right? It's not a fluke. And so, it's one of those things for me where I look at it and think like, all right, the Patriots are a good team. Now, are they a dominant top of the AFC type of team? I will, time will tell. We'll see. But, right now they're playing like a good team. And, that is a huge turnaround. And I think that, and we'll get into the coaching staff and everything like that. But I think that the coaching staff and the culture that's being built here is a big reason for that, because these guys are playing for each other. They seem to genuinely be having fun and enjoying playing with each other. And that just doesn't, I know that it's a game and it's, talent matters more than anything else, and it does, but that stuff matters too. So you have to have talented guys, but you also have to have guys that want to be with each other and want to play with each other and are playing for something bigger than themselves. And they're doing that right now. And, they've looked awesome.
And it's much easier to do all of that when you got a quarterback like Drake May, who makes life so much easier for your offense. I think Drake May, once again, is just going to be like our top takeaway from this game. 21 of 23, 222 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. I think he had, 2 deep shots in this game, both connections, one of them the touchdown to Kayshon Boutte.
Yep.
There's, a little bit of a health concern maybe with this one, with him getting banged up and going into the tent. But yeah, this is the Patriots regular season franchise record for completion percentage set today.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot you can complain about when that happens.
Well, and the thing too is that it's also what you take out of it as well. Right. And so, like, for me, when you look at like what, the throw, it's not like he's checked down Charlie, right? Like, he's throwing it deep and he's throwing into some good coverage. That throw to Matt Collins was outrageous. He did an outrageous throw to Matt Collins. That was perfectly covered by Amani Hooker and he just had no shot at it. Right. And the throw to Stephon Diggs was just like, you got to be kidding me. And so, he's been doing this consistently where he's been throwing the ball deep down the field. The Kayshon Boutte stat, I don't know exactly what it was. You reposted it on Twitter and I saw it and it was just like the effectiveness that May is having when he's targeting really anyone down the field, but certainly Kayshon Boutte down the field is just foolish. And, to be completing 91% of your passes and to be throwing the ball down the field as much as he is unheard of. It just doesn't happen. And so, realistically for the Patriots, and listen, I'm not saying that, and TD will, and we'll talk about that too, but TD was saying that he sees 12 wins just based on what the rest of the schedule looks like, and we'll kind of get into some of that. But I think that I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if Drake May keeps playing like this and keeps playing with the poise and accuracy that he's playing with right now, the sky's the limit for this team. I mean, it's going to be tough to beat a team when your quarterback's slaying it the way he is.
I want to go back to that throw to Mac Hollins. You're talking about the honey hole shot along the right sideline? Yeah.
Yes.
So for those who don't know, honey hole, in a cover 2 defense, just a cover 2 zone defense, there's 2 safeties deep and then kind of 5 zones going across 5 to 10 yards deep on the field. And what that means is that along the sidelines on each side, there's going to be a little gap, 15 yards down the field where the safety can't quite get to the sideline in time, and it's going to be deeper than that underneath zone defender. They call that the honey hole. It's a tight window to fit a ball in, and if you want the ball to go there, you have to recognize it pretty quickly to get it in there, because safeties in the NFL are good at what they do and will close that gap in a hurry. And even if you complete it, they're going to take the guy's head off in the process. So got to get the ball down and in there. And we've seen May hit that throw consistently all year long. And that is that one throw is huge to me for a number of reasons. But I think the top one is that May has a good deep ball. He's shown that all year long. If you want to take away the deep ball, the first thing you do is play some kind of cover 2 defense to put 2 safeties back to prevent against these deep shots. So if defenses are going into that mode to try to protect against the deep plays, and you can still get 15 to 20 yard chunk plays on them in the area of the field they're trying to take away, that's incredibly impressive. And I think it speaks to how quickly May has picked up on things. Teams have been loading the box against the Patriots this year. The shifting to taking away the deep pass is something that's happened only the last couple of weeks. And he's already picking up on it and taking advantage. And just how fast he learns. And I think you go back to week 1. I think our week 1 postgame show, it was, okay, it might be a little up and down year. Things might be rough. May's not where we want him to be yet. Based on the May that we saw week 1, I would have hoped that he could be 80% of what we're getting on a week-to-week basis by the end of the season. Instead, by since week 2, he's played at a borderline MVP level. There's no learning curve. It's just a step. It's all right, well, we had a bad game. All right, now we're just going to play good football. It's insane.
It is. And TD kind of, and there's a whole conversation in the chat going on about Josh Allen versus Drake May and everything. But, I just think his ability to process on the fly and adapt to given defenses, the fact that he's doing that right now is incredible. And again, he's, like you said, they're trying to take things away and he's still making the throws. That doesn't happen. That's not something that just happens. And it's happening so quickly. And listen, Josh McDaniels deserves a ton of credit, 100%. And I want to give McDaniels a ton of credit, and we will give McDaniels a ton of credit, and he deserves it. But even if he's calling the right plays and telling him where to look, he can't go out there and throw it like that. He can't. So it's one of those things where, sure, Josh McDaniels is definitely a huge part of it, but he has to be able to make those throws, and he's making them. And again, he's not just making them sometimes. He's making them consistently over and over and over again. And it's that stuff that's super impressive to me because, it's just, oh, you want to take this away? Well, I know you want to take it away. We're going to do it anyways. And I thought then the throw to Kayshon Boutte for the touchdown was so great because That's a McDaniels play. That, to me, was McDaniels. I mean, Jason McCourty's talking about it on the broadcast, right? Like, the Patriots are going to try to kill the clock here. They want to score with no time left to go and then take the ball to start the second half. And instead, right? Instead, they just throw it deep for a touchdown, right? And it's just like no one was ready for it. The safety wasn't ready for it. The corner wasn't ready for it. He just ran by everyone and threw a touchdown. Like, it was just, that to me was an awesome play. And again, that goes back to the play caller. But, I mean, May makes a beautiful throw and Booty makes a great catch. But it was just like they weren't expecting the deep pass in that moment. And he hit him with it and see you later as a touchdown. It was awesome.
Well, and that was Evan Lazar kind of broke it down in his article after the game. But that route against that coverage, that's the Brandon Cooks, Jason McCourty play from the Super Bowl against the Rams.
Yep.
Because it's the backside post against cover 4. And they just don't play it well. And like that's not the design of the play. You're not supposed to go there, but May just sees it anyway.
Right.
And I'll bring it back to a stat that Evan mentioned, which I tweeted out. So far this season, on throws of over 20 air yards, he's 11 of 14 for 351 yards and 4 touchdowns.
It's just so stupid.
But what the number to me that I think is most interesting in there, it's the 14.
Yeah.
He's only throwing it deep like twice a game.
Right.
And when he does, you're basically guaranteed that one of them is going to hit. The other one's probably going to hit too.
Right.
You got really good odds of getting a touchdown out of it. And that I think comes back to what's up here in the brain for May.
Right.
He's processing things so quickly right now that like when the deep shots are there, he's seeing it a lot of the time and getting the ball there. And when they're not, these aren't turning into bad plays. He's just finding other ways to make something happen out of it. I think it's evidenced by the fact that he scrambled 8 times for 60-something yards today. Yeah. Like there's just very, very few bad plays when you're letting him make the decisions with the ball. For a guy who I think we just crossed the threshold for him having played 1 full season of starts in the NFL.
Right. Yeah.
What in the world?
It's outrageous. Also, Murph, finally on the train. He was wrong. Alt was not the pick. But it's one of those things for me, and that really honestly, and you kind of pointed it out here that like he's just over a year into, and by the way, younger than Cam Ward. So like I don't think we accurately, and we talk about it, but to realize how young he is and how early he's doing this stuff, right? Like that's the stuff for me where you look at it and say, my goodness, like this is, the ceiling's the roof, right? Like it's just one of those things where you just sit there and say, what the heck? Like, how is he doing what he's doing? And it leads you into this thing. And, there's a conversation going on in the chat about, is he top 5? Is he top 3? Is he top, where is he? And I don't even know if you can put a number on it right now because he's playing so well so early in his career. And listen, CJ Stroud did this, not at this level, but CJ Stroud played incredibly well his rookie year and has fallen off precipitously after that, right? Could that happen to Drake May? I suppose it could, but he's just the growth from him from one year to the next, from one game to the next, from one play to the next is incredible. And it's almost like the processing is so fast and he's learning at such a fast rate that it's just, it's incredible. And so I have a hard time sitting here and saying, okay, well, at some point this year, he's going to regress back to, a mediocre quarterback. Cause I just don't, and listen, I think it's going to be really interesting because next week, and we'll talk about the Browns game, later on in the week, but like the Browns have a phenomenal defense. They have a phenomenal pass rush and they have a very good run defense as well. And so it's going to be really interesting to see. Say that again.
It's right up there with the Pats. I know by EPA per play, I think the Patriots and Browns are right next to each other for run defense.
Right. And the Browns offense isn't very good, although they played well today, but it's, it's going to be really interesting to see how the Patriots offense rises to that challenge next week. And that'll be a home game and it'll be helpful to whatever, blah, 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 all that stuff. But nevertheless, it's the first real dominant defense that they're going to have played against. And so, that's going to be a good test for them, I think. But my goodness, the way that they're playing right now and the way that Drake himself is playing right now. And then you see other guys stepping up. Matt Collins had a few catches today. Matt Collins had a huge catch on third down last week against New Orleans, which great play by Drake made to kind of scramble and throw it back across his body. But, Pop Douglas had a one-handed catch on fourth down, which I think might have been his fault because he's supposed to stop, but doesn't matter. But either way, made the catch, made a great play, had a touchdown last week. Like, we have guys stepping up and making plays, everyone except for Kyle Williams. But, but it's been awesome. It's been awesome to see. And I think that, this is what you want to see from the Patriots. And you wonder, like, how high is this ceiling? And so we'll see. But it's been so much better than I think anyone could have expected before the season.
You mentioned, I want to take a quick segue here, because you mentioned that Browns-Dolphins game. There was a quote from after this game. I don't know if you saw, but I have to mention because it's hilarious. Did you see what Mike McDaniel said after?
I can't believe he said it. I can't believe he had the audacity to say something like that.
To make sure we're on the same page about that, he goes, quote, "Player frustrations prevented us from executing today."
Like, what does that even mean, dude?
And then the next sound you hear after that is the tire going over, every player on the roster. How
does he have a job still? I don't know how he still has a job. If he's not fired tomorrow, I can't imagine what we're doing. It's
bad. And I don't know how much to read into it, but like Tua's taking shots at him in press conferences. Yeah. Like, it's very public. And there's a clip of, because Quinn Ewers played, Ewers for the first time in the NFL coming off the field, and Mike McDaniel does not say a word to him. And Tua comes over and is like cheering him on and giving him that, welcome to the NFL, good job out there. And it's just like, all right, what do we got? I wish we were playing Miami this week.
Charlie says McDaniel needs to get an extension. Hey, listen, man, pay him everything. Keep him in Miami.
Yeah, I wonder. Here's the thing: I'm going to stay on this segue for just 1 second. You kind of have to get rid of Tua at some point here, I think, if you're Miami.
Well, the good news for Miami, I think he only has a $99 million buyout next year. So just dead cap is under $100 million at least for them. So that's good.
But here's the thing. It's I wouldn't say awful. It's not a good quarterback class right now. So right. Somebody's going to be looking for a quarterback. Who makes that trade? I feel like somebody's going to do it.
Maybe.
Kyler, maybe also.
Kyler stinks. Well, you look at that Arizona offense today, which Jacoby Brissett, it looked like halfway competent as opposed to when Kyler was running it, and it looks like a clown show.
And then they lost anyway today.
Also, think about how terrible the Jets are, that they got smoked by the Dolphins. They're that bad that they got crushed by the Dolphins.
As long as the Patriots don't do something catastrophically dumb, you should have 3 more wins built into the schedule between the Jets and the Dolphins. And the fact that you're at 5 wins already, you're 5-2 right now, that gets you to 8. But that is the territory we're in right now.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Now, obviously, you play the Jets next month, and then the Dolphins and Jets, I think you don't get again until after the bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
For your last 4
games. Yeah, because the Dolphins game is the Dolphins game or the Jets game last game of the season? I think it's the Dolphins, yeah?
Yeah. And they're in New York after Christmas, though.
Yeah.
So a lot can change between now and then. It's the NFL.
Right.
We know that. But, man, it sets up favorably. I do want to say, since we're kind of on this, I think it's time we bring up the playoff picture right now. I know it's mid-October, but if the season ended this very second, the Patriots would be hosting a wild card game against the Jaguars, who, based on the performance we saw from the Jaguars today, I'm not worried. And then you would be waiting to see who you're hosting in the divisional round, which, if the seeding holds, would be Denver as the 3 seed coming to town.
Well, they're the 2 seed, are they not?
Yeah.
So you have to play a game. Then you have to play a game. Oh, only the number 1 seed gets a bye, correct?
Yeah, you'd be opening against Jacksonville. I'm saying if you beat them, you'd be.
If you beat Jacksonville, I see.
I get it. Based on how they look today, I was just kind of penciling that.
I got you. You're
But,
penciling in a victory over Jacksonville. Jacksonville stinks. They
they're not
stink.
good.
I don't care what anyone says. Jacksonville stinks.
I don't. It's that whole team for a while has just been like they're just less than the sum of their parts to a point where you really question: are the parts actually good? Like I feel like they just keep getting guys who are like 75 to 80% as good as you expected.
Yeah.
And then those are supposed to be the top guys on the roster. Like Lawrence doesn't look that good, but his receivers are not helping him one bit, which is crazy because Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter should be that should be an elite wide receiver duo.
Yeah. Yeah. Brian Thomas just had a big, has had a big regression.
Forgot how to catch the ball, which not a good thing to have happen to you when you're an NFL.
It's really strange, really bizarre. And I'll tell you, I think I said before the 2021 draft, if Trevor Lawrence isn't good in the NFL, no one has any idea what they're talking about because he would have been the number one pick as a true freshman. And maybe no one knows what they're talking about. I don't know. I don't get it.
Did he just peak early? Because I'm actually not convinced he's gotten any better since that freshman year.
It's certainly a possibility.
I mean, I'm sure he has. I'm being a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't know.
It's this. Well, I think it's hard to predict because it's also every other quarterback like Josh Allen who was taken before Josh Allen busted, and then Josh Allen comes out and turns into an MVP. Like it's a hard to predict thing. Thankfully, Patriots are here with, dare I say, right now the best quarterback in this draft class.
Yeah, I don't think it's particularly. I mean, I know Jaden Daniels was incredible last year. I think Jaden Daniels is still very good. But the way Drake May's playing right now, I don't know how you take anyone over him certainly from this draft class and maybe from the last 5 years.
I will also add my concern with Jaden Daniels. One of my big ones was injuries with his body. Got hurt today. We'll see the severity on that. But that'd be twice this season. He has had to leave a game with an injury. Yep. Now, obviously, we'll bring this back to the Patriots-Titans game. I think one of a low and high moment at the same time. May takes off, gets tackled, hits his head on the turf, comes out for 3 plays for the concussion protocol, which I thought the spotter did a great job calling out that he needed to come off there because he absolutely did. Josh Dobbs comes in and saves the day, and then May goes back in, and we're all good. Where was your anxiety level at when you see May get up and start shaking his head? After
a 15 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean 15 out of 10. Like that's one of those ones where you're like, oh God, this is not good. And again, like a concussion means you're out for that week and probably the next week too. That was my first thought, was like, oh my goodness. And then of course, Josh Dobbs goes in and shakes off a would-be sack, and instead and makes a great throw for a first down. And so you say, okay, all right, Josh Dobbs is throwing first down passes, and that's the type of stuff where it's like when you talk about the unsung guys stepping up, like that's Josh Dobbs goes in, makes a play, and leads the Patriots, helps lead the Patriots to a touchdown drive. So it's really just it's really kind of incredible to see. And I'll tell you, this is kind of that we talk about kind of that middle eight, and I think
exactly where I was going to go next.
Yeah, and that drive was in that middle eight, right? And so you think about Patriots did not play well in that, certainly in the first quarter, and really kind of leading into that second quarter. Especially and you're down 13-10, and you take the ball and you drive down, and of course you end with that touchdown to Keyshawn Boutte, and now you're up 17-13. Goes into the half 17-13. You come out, you score on your first drive, and then the very next play, Cam Ward just drops the ball, I guess. I have no idea what the hell that was. That was just horrendous by Cam Ward. But
second time in 2 weeks he's done that. He did that at the end of the Raiders game too.
He's a small hand guy, right? Is he a small hand guy? He's got small hands, doesn't he?
For an NFL quarterback, yes.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, for an NFL quarterback, he's got small hands. And so, I wonder if that has anything to do with it. But like that was just like, what in the world? And now all of a sudden, you're talking about literally probably 6-7 minutes of game time. 6-7 minutes of game time. The Jaguars go from up 13-10 to down 31-13, and the game's over. Like, and it just, you know, Patriots just held serve the rest of the game, and you know, didn't score again, but didn't do anything else. And so
everyone knew it was over when that.
It was wild.
Well, and that was, I will like, this feels like a 2003 Patriots game in the way that like you're able to get a defensive score out of an opponent just doing something that makes you go like, what was that? But really good, like, situational football, winning the middle of the game and going from down 13-10 to up 31-13 with your opponent running 5 plays in the process.
Right.
It just doesn't get much better than that. You're able to put the game away when you need to. And the credit, you know, there's a lot of people that deserve credit in here. Drake May is going to be the top one. The touchdown drive before the half is all him. He scrambles, and then he hits a throw, and then he hits a deep throw, and you're in the end zone. That's the entire possession. And then you come out of the half, 12 plays, 88 yards. So you get a penalty on the kickoff return. So you're back at your own 12 to start the half. You're up 17-13, but this is a game the way the defense is played. You really think you're going to need to score because defense hasn't been coming through for you. And it's just, you know, 24-yard pass on 3rd and 8 to Stephon Diggs, 27-yard pass on 1st and 10, immediate play after that to Matt Collins. Over 50 yards of passing just to get you, like, immediately you're in scoring territory.
Yep.
Great stuff from May. Then the scramble, then the sequence with Josh Dobbs. Then I think, you know, another play we have to mention here. The Patriots get down to 4th and they call it 4th and 1. It's really 4th and 2.
Yeah.
Once May comes back into the game, after he hits Diggs, and a guy that we have kind of complained about for his small catch radius and for not breaking off routes when he's supposed to. Doesn't break off a route when he's supposed to, but Pop Douglas on 4th and short, May throws it behind him and sticks a hand out and is able to make a catch on it. Fantastic, I think, kind of unsung play in this game. If he doesn't make that, you come away from this possession with nothing. Who knows what happens from there? And then, you know, he makes that catch. One play later, Ramondre takes it into the end zone for the score. Even without the Caleb Chase and fumble, you're up 24-13 at that point. Just cashed in 2 touchdown drives in a row. Your offense is cooking it because you've also only had one drive that didn't end in a score at that point in the game, early in the 3rd quarter. You have to feel good about where your offense is at. You know, that I feel like you've put the game where it needs to be, and then the defense comes through to put it on ice.
100%. And I think, you know, when you're looking for where does that game change, right? And that's where it is. Because again, no one scores again after the Caleb Chasen touchdown, right? So that was it. The game was over, and the Patriots got a little more conservative, and Drake made some plays. That pass to Diggs down near the goal line, when the Patriots had the ball down in the goal line, was outrageous. But you know, that's one of those things that you just, man, the way that they took control of the game, and then just basically just played keep away, you know, with them the rest of the game, and that was it. It was over. Goodness, you know, that's again, that's sticking to what you do. And then they made life difficult for Cam Ward. They were able to pin their ears back a little bit, get after Cam Ward. They had a few sacks in there. They got in his face and pressured him and forced him into some bad throws. You know, Marcus Jones gets another pick, and you know, it was just over and over and over again that they kept coming through. And this is they just continue to do it. And you know, we'll see. But I just think that, goodness, like, this is exactly what you're hoping for, is to win a game like this, you know?
Yeah. Do we want to do our ad break? I think come back, talk about a little running game and a little defense.
Yeah, I like that. And we can talk maybe about the pass blocking too. Unfortunately, not being as good as we'd like, but you know.
Yeah. We'll do that all on the other side of the break here.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
this ad, of course, is for Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to take your sports knowledge and turn it into some real money. It's the number one daily fantasy sports app in the store. Hold on, sorry. A little under the weather here. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, which means you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You can pick more on Drake May for everything. Pick him for everything. This is what you need to do. Pick Drake for everything. But what you're gonna do? I gotta get through this. I can't. Matt, can you take over from me? I'm sorry. I'm dying over here. I'm dying.
Oh my goodness! I don't even have the ad read pulled up. Oh my goodness! It's gonna take me a second to pull this up. We're losing Pat here. This is live television, folks. Oh my goodness! I can't even find it.
All right, I'm back.
You got it?
Kind of. Download the app Prize Picks today. You're going to put in the promo code CLNS. When you do that, you're going to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app Prize Picks, put in the promo code CLNS, and you get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. I hit one of my lineups this week, crushed it, as you never do, but crushed it. And for me, it's good to be right. All right. Whew, goodness sake.
You did it.
You did it.
I can talk for a second here if you need a breather.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yes, James, you're right. Now with May, we'll take over the league.
I think we'll stay positive here for a minute. I think one of the most shocking aspects of this game was, well, first of all, pregame during the week. Jeffrey Simmons, talking about the Patriots, talks about how the Patriots want to run the ball, and if you want to beat them, you have to take that away. From a team that is ranked, came into this 32nd in the NFL and expected points added from the running game. So we were all, why are you trying to take away the running game? And then the Patriots, on their first possession, run, pass, scramble, run, and then 2 sacks. All running game, which bold strategy from the Titans to try to take away the thing that we're worst at and then not take away the thing that we're worst at. But Ramondre Stevenson with some huge runs right out the gate, 8 yards, 14 yards, 8 yards, 8 yards in the first 4 plays of the game. He had 88 yards rushing today, which I believe was his most in a game since week 5 last year. He had 89 yards against Miami in week 5. So an amazing bounce back game here from Ramondre Stevenson. And a lot of this rushing was in the first half. This is before Jeffrey Simmons goes out with an injury. And the Titans say this is what they're trying to take away, and you're able to run it very well. I did notice Jared Wilson, I think, with a couple decent blocks in the running game, but seemed like the line played with more cohesion against the Titans' run defense. It's fine. That's not the worst aspect of this team, of this roster. So really, really good stuff to see there. Trevion Henderson basically doesn't factor in at all. I think he had just 2 carries on the day, but a good day for Stevenson. Pat, I don't know if you're ready to talk again over there, but your thoughts on the running game?
Yeah, I mean, Mondre was great. I'm back from the dead here, I think, at least for now. But Mondre was great. He was great, and I think that this is one of those games that you felt like we can run the ball, and they were able to do it. And I think one of the big keys was, hit the edge, right? And the Patriots did that very effectively most of the game. And I this is what you want to see from the Patriots, right? So I was happy to see it. I was happy that they just continuously, made plays and were effective in the running game. And I think you're right. Like the offensive line had a little bit more cohesion, I think is the right word there, in the run game. And again, the pass rush had the pass blocking certainly had some times where they didn't look great, But in the run game, I thought the offensive line looked significantly better today, and that's something that I think is gonna help them moving forward, because they need a solid running game, and I think that that's one of those things they want to do.
Yeah, well, it allows your offense to be that much more dynamic. When you know Drake May is gonna get you the plays, he's gonna get you every game. He's still not gonna be perfect. Like, you're gonna have drives that stall out because of a sack or because of an incompletion or whatever. If you can just have one or two drives where the running game saves you and you don't have to lean on the quarterback, your life is so much easier. And you look at the next gen stats graph of where Ramondre Stevenson was running, and you've got runs out wide, you've got runs kind of up the middle to the left, you've got runs out to the right side. It's all over the place. They were able to run. So I'm guessing that was a point of emphasis this week. Glad to see that happen. I don't expect this success to be repeated against Cleveland next week. Better defense. Standard's going to be a little bit lower, I think, for success on the ground there, but I'm just happy to see them find really anything there. And happy for Ramondre it's funny. You can see him out there holding that ball with two hands, and he's still making guys miss today. So
yeah.
Maybe this is just a statement about the depth of this Titans defense and where they're at. But
well, I think also the other thing is it just goes back to Vrabel and the culture that Vrabel's building here, and the fact that look, you have this situation where you look at it and say Ramondre can't play. He can't be on the roster anymore, right? And Vrabel was steadfast from the very beginning. We need him. He's going to be a big part of our offense. We need him here no matter what. And it paid off today. And I think it's paying off because Henderson he's not ready yet. And I think that, by the way, this is something that happens to a lot of backs in this McDaniel system. It takes them a while to get acclimated to it. It just does. I mean, look at, you look back to Shane Vereen and you look back to James White and guys that are good players, and they just weren't able to play right away, and
Ridley took a year, I think, too. But especially passing backs. So there's a lot like Vereen and James White, I think both essentially took redshirt years.
I think James White was inactive for every game his rookie year. And Vereen may have been active for one or two, but he was basically inactive most games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it takes a while,
We'll say. And I think it's still disappointing. Again, those guys are taken later in the draft. So you'd love for, for Henderson, a guy taken where he was, to contribute. But you're winning games. You're not going to complain too much. I will say, overall, not the best day for this rookie class. Will Campbell allowed a sack. Not because he got beat on a block, but because he just abandoned his assignment and let a free rusher come from that side. That was a rough play for him. Jared Wilson, very inconsistent day, some nice blocks, but he allowed multiple sacks, and there were some games targeted in his direction. There was a specific moment I remember where it was third down and there's a rush coming from the offense's left, and May calls out what's coming. Everyone's on the same page about the protection because May gets them there. And then Wilson and Campbell just don't pass it off correctly again, and you get a sack from that side. So definitely something there to keep an eye on. Henderson basically not on the field today. Kyle Williams, I think, got a target, which was one of his two incompletions. And what do you call it? Who else? Craig Woodson got kind of beat on a touchdown pass too. So a lot of guys in this rookie class had tough days, but this is why I said all offseason, if this team wins football games this year, the biggest reason is going to be because of the quarterback. And there he is today.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it comes down to. And I think, Campbell didn't have a great day, but I think he's played well so far this year. And I think
he's beaten my expectations 100%.
Yes. What I was hoping for him was that he was going to come in and look like a 15th to 17th left tackle in the league. And I think that he's surpassed that so far. Now, it's early in the season still, but I think that he's surpassed that thus far. Next week's going to be a big test with that Browns defensive line. And I think, Jared Wilson followed up the worst game of his career with the worst game of his career, which is not ideal. But you're hoping that he can, right the ship a little bit. And ultimately, then it just comes down to, you're right, Craig Woodson got beat on that. He got turned around on that touchdown by that practice squad rookie, whoever the heck that kid was, who just torched us in the first half.
So, by the way, when I said on the podcast Thursday that like the Titans can't run any of the screens because their receivers can't block them, DK is exactly who I was talking about on that. Him specifically. The fact that they're able to, he's been like a negative for them all year. And the fact that they turned him into a positive, credit to that interim coaching staff for finding a way to get him involved, especially with no Calvin Ridley. Also, I was curious about it, so I just pulled up with left and right tackles together. Will Campbell ranks 29th in the NFL in PFF grade. I don't necessarily. PFF provides a lot of useful things. I think their grades are just kind of, they're decent.
Yeah.
Right. But that feels right to me. I feel like he has played well and been a massive improvement on what they had before, while also having some rough moments and facing what's generally been an easier schedule. So got to be a big week for him with that Browns defensive line coming to town. He and Jared Wilson. I do wonder if they look at Ben Brown at left guard this week. Although, with how strong that Browns front is, I don't love that you have Ben Brown in there either as an undersized guy.
Right. I don't love anyone, unfortunately, but it's the way it is. I mean, you just have to roll with it and hope that they can figure it out. The sack that Wilson gave up was on a twist that they just misplayed. Flat out, just misplayed it, and so I had mentioned that right when you had to jump off. Okay.
There.
So, but that's it's one of those things that I think they will get it straightened out. I think they will get it straightened out. But it's definitely it's definitely a little concerning, and so it's just one thing that we're going to have to pay attention to as the year goes on.
Well, right? What's nice right now is that when we said concerning a year ago, that means something a little bit different, I think, than concerning right now about some of these guys. And like the issue with Jared Wilson right now might be, okay, can you play him and let him develop and also be a team that can win a playoff game? And last year it was, can you play someone and let them develop and run plays at all? So I think we've cleared a little bit of a bar there. I do think Wilson's someone who ends up at center for you. So it's just basically, how do you manage it for the rest of this season? What's the best path forward this year, game to game? Also, I didn't notice it until just this second, but when I'd sorted the PFF rankings, I said that Will Campbell was 29th. You want to know who 28 and 27 are?
Ooh, I do.
28 is Ronnie Stanley, who they tried to throw a bag at this offseason,
sure did.
But who stayed in Baltimore and didn't hit the market. And 27, Armand Membu. At right tackle for the Jets. Yeah. I will say it does seem like Membu and Campbell are probably roughly as good as one another. That feels correct in everything I've seen this year.
Yeah.
And like if Will Campbell, if he never gets better than the player he is right now, I think you say that the pick was probably a C. You filled a need, you got a useful player out of it, a good player. Not necessarily someone who's going to be a Pro Bowler at the position, but he's not going to be the reason you're losing games, especially against like mediocre to bad teams. And he's still young. Like, you're drafting him because you're looking for him to take that next step. Today was a little bit of a step back, but that's fine. That happens. I have always said in this with guys like him, I'm not going to overreact to one game.
100%.
Things aren't linear, and
I
don't know. Every time you think you have things figured out in the NFL, something happens. Yeah, I'm not going to overreact to a poor game against the Titans before he goes out and like stonewalls Myles Garrett next week or something.
Right. Well, and listen, he's 21, so and he'll be 21 until January. So, you have to hope that he will get better as he goes. And so, we'll see. But it's just, it's. For me, at least, I look at it and think it's encouraging the way that he's played so far. And you're right. If he doesn't get better, you look at it and say, yeah, okay, not a great pick. You're hoping he gets significantly better, right? And so,
Fingers crossed.
but again, that just comes down to how well can you develop him, how much work is he going to put in? And so it comes back to, your coaching staff and then the player, right? And so, ultimately that's just kind of the way it is. And I know the Patriots are very excited about him, and he's lived up to the hype thus far. Again, he's not going to be a Pro Bowl left tackle this year. And I don't think anyone should have been expecting that from him, but I think he's looked pretty good. And so
and they've raised the bar across the board on the offensive line. And it's like, all right, you are significantly more competent, I think, at 4 spots on the line than you were last year, with the outlier here, I guess, kind of being Jared Wilson at left guard. But it's a lot easier to paper over that when you're better at the other spots. Easier to paper over that when your quarterback's getting the ball out as quick as May does too.
Well, and what we also talked about, right, all off season was you were like 31 or 32 last year on the offensive line. Can you get to the mid-20s? Right, as a unit, can you get to the mid-20s? And I think we're hovering around that area right now. And so,
and by PFF pass block grade, the Patriots right now are 4th in the NFL.
That's outrageous.
Run blocking, you're 25th. I will say, I think a lot of the blocking improvement has come from schematic stuff. I think the fact that you can roll May out and he can make these throws has made life a lot easier for the line. They've done good stuff with misdirection. The passing concepts are good, so there's not a lot of situations where May is just like sitting and waiting for people to get open and he gets sacked because of it. Like when he does, like I feel like a decent amount of the sacks that May has taken this year are on him. And I don't really mean that in a negative way. I feel like a lot of these plays have been like 3rd downs where he's just extending and trying to make something happen and nothing happens, or 2nd down.
It's true.
I feel like he's taken a lot of sacks for 1 yard. Like there's a sack today that was, I think, 0 yards or -1 yard because he ran out of bounds. He's trying to run out of bounds at the line of scrimmage, and it was 1 yard back. And it's like, okay, there's a lot of those plays, and it's not like last year where, there's a pressure in 2 seconds around the left tackle for a 9-yard loss. Right. They had some quick pressures allowed today, but I'm not going to overreact to one bad game with the line, especially when you run block well for most of it, at least the first half.
Well, and that's what it comes down to, right? Is that like you did a pretty good job, a pretty good job. And again, I'm happy with the production this week, so we'll see. Long season, long way to go. You're going to face some good defenses. I think the Bills are going to be much better prepared against you next time you play them. Because they have a good defense, in my opinion. And so, it's one of those things. And so we'll see.
I do have numbers on the sacks.
Let's hear it.
May has been sacked, and this is all before today. But coming into week 7, had been sacked 5th most in the NFL. 25th most yards lost due to sacks. Sacked a lot, but not for a lot of yards. Which I think has been a really big step up from previous years. And, it's a combination of play calling, May's awareness, and better line play.
Yeah, that's true. And Nikhil actually points this out, which is good. We're taking care of bad teams. Like last year, we were losing to bad teams. And this year, we're beating good teams. Beating bad teams, and you can only play who you play, right? Do the Patriots have an easy schedule? Yes, they do. Yep, that's true. But you can only play who you play, and so they have to roll with the fact that they got an easy schedule, and you have to play against those teams. Now, does that mean that you're, truly the class of the AFC and are going to win? Are going to win the Super Bowl or anything like that? No, but we can worry about that if and when they get to the playoffs. I think that's an okay problem to have as far as I'm concerned, right? And so, anyways, we'll see. But I just think I feel like I'm not apologizing for the fact that we're beating bad teams. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I think that you win the games, and Murph just said it. You win the games you're supposed to win, and you don't apologize for that. That's it.
And you put yourself in position and you go from there. Like last year's team would be we're 5-2 right now. Last year's team, they still might end up being 3-4 at this point with how
Maybe.
bad some of these opponents are.
Yeah.
But you're also one or two of these losses are going to be ugly, ugly losses, and you're not going to have. This team has 2 multi-score wins, the win today and the win over Carolina. How many multi-score wins? I mean, we don't have a lot of wins, period, recently. Right. They had 1 multi-score win last year. When's the last time we had multiple in the season? It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
By
the way,
they've all been close.
Speaking of multiple in a season, as someone pointed out, I forget who the heck was it that pointed it out. Hold on, I got to give him credit because one of the Patriots reporters, I think it was, I don't know who it was. I think it was Andrew Callahan. For the second time this season, it's so stupid. For the second time this season, Drake May had as many touchdowns as he did incompletions. That's just outrageous. It's outrageous. Good. And so you just, those are the things to me when you look at the stats and you're like, oh my God, the stats are incredible. But the tape is just as good as the stats. So it's not like, it's not some inflated thing where it's, oh, well, this team, what? No. Like, I'm not making excuses. They look just as good as the numbers are. And that, to me, is pretty incredible. The fact that we're in this, in this situation right now, and the Patriots look as good as it looks on paper, I'm really enthusiastic about it. And again, they're playing significantly better than I thought they were going to play. And that's great, And so
this team kind of feels like I go back to like that 2022 team. They played a weak schedule and then almost made the playoffs, even though anyone who watched them knew it was just not a very good team.
Right.
This is kind of like the good version, I think, of that group that's playing an easy schedule and doing what you're supposed to do against it and looks competent and well coached and put together.
Yeah.
That's the last time they won, multiple games by at least 2 scores in a season. So they did a couple times that year. 2021 now is the last time they had a winning streak this long. They had a 7-game winning streak in 2021. We're at 4 right now.
Yeah.
To get to 7, you're going to have to beat Cleveland, Atlanta, and Tampa here. I don't know if that's going to happen, but like the fact that you've gotten to 4, you have to feel good about that. Not a lot of teams win 4 consecutive games in a season. That's typically only teams that are contenders that are doing that.
Sure.
And then also the 2012 Arizona Cardinals, who started off the season of 4-0 and finished the season of 4-12.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
That was the team that came into Foxborough and beat the Patriots because the Patriots scored a game-winning touchdown that came off the board because of a bogus holding penalty, and then Gostkowski missed the field goal. Yeah.
I was at that game.
I believe, Danny Woodhead would be game-winning touchdown. That.
Also, I just had. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I said that might be the last Patriots game I didn't watch live because we didn't have that on TV in Connecticut, and I was too young at that point to know how to find other ways to watch football.
That was horrifying. That game was horrifying. I was at that game. It was brutal. He missed it, and you're just like, you gotta be kidding me. I just had flashbacks to Mac Jones. Mac Jones would throw those passes like flat-footed where he wouldn't step and he would just throw it like off 2 feet and he'd just be standing there and throw the ball. And they were just showing like clips of like Trent Williams blocking. And there was just one play where like Mac Jones, you couldn't even see Mac Jones throwing, you could just see his feet. And I was like, oh my God, dude, thank God I don't have to watch that guy anymore. Jesus Christ.
Correction, that Cardinals team finished 5-11.
Oh, 5-11. All right.
They smoked the Lions at home near the end of the season.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and they beat the Seahawks and Patriots back-to-back to start that season, the teams that would win the 13 and 14 Super Bowls.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's
bizarre. Maybe I got to do a deep dive on the 2012 Arizona Cardinals. I've never understood what happened here.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the start of this game with the defense real quick?
Yeah, I just thought that, man, the defense, the defense had a real hard time at the beginning of this game. And I was very upset about it. I wasn't happy about it. I thought they were playing like garbage, but they just, they figured it out eventually, but you just can't do that against a good team. You can't do that. And this is, I think they played 7 games. Have they allowed points on 5? I believe they've allowed points on 4 or 5 opening possessions defensively.
I'd believe it.
I'm not sure if the number is 5, but it's at least 4. And so, it just, they have to start off faster. I know Drake May is playing awesome, and that's great, but you have to start off faster than you're starting right now. And, you can't put yourself in a hole because you are going to run into some games where the offense maybe won't be perfect. And, you're going to have to pull your weight as a defense. And I thought, I think that they figured it out. And as they have, they figure it out kind of as we're going the rest of the way. But to give up 10 points quick to the worst offense in the NFL, you can't have that. Cam Ward's dicing you up in the first half. And it's like, what is happening out there, man? And it wasn't good. It wasn't good. And so that's one of those things for me that, has to change moving forward.
Miami and Buffalo were the only teams to not score against them on the first possession, which now saying that out loud, is part of me that wonders if, those are your divisional opponents. Is that just familiarity with them that's doing it? And it's the way it happened too with Tennessee today. Like, you couldn't get a pass rush at all. Every corner is getting beat in man coverage, which I will say, on my downs list last week after the game, I had defensive back health, Jalen Hawkins being injured, and Christian Gonzalez being banged up, and Marcus Jones and Carlton Davis coming out of the game at one point last week. I wonder if that's just still nagging a little bit too, where none of these, like all these guys are playing at like 80, 90%, and they just can't quite take it to that next level. Maybe that's a factor. I don't know, but it's got to be better. And it feels schematic because the Titans score 10 points right off the bat, and then 3 the rest of the game. And that's been the pattern. When teams score, they're scoring early and then not again. Like the Saints scored on their first 4 possessions, and I think only scored once after that. Panthers scored on their first possession, didn't score again until it was garbage time. So I wonder what it is. I will say, watching Tennessee play, and like last week, you could tell their line is not well coached. They don't handle blitzes well. Cam Ward doesn't process well. To me, this game, especially with their receivers, screamed a game where you just want to blitz the hell out of them as much as possible. And it seemed like they got to, they played 80-something% zone in the second half, but it did feel like they got more pressure and blitzed more then. So maybe it was just zone blitzes instead of man blitzes. But it felt like when they got guys near the line of scrimmage and made life difficult for their offensive line to identify who was blitzing and who wasn't, they had a lot of success. It just took them a while to get there. I do wonder if this is just a Zach Kerr thing. He's not experienced at this. This is new to him. It seems like it's the scripted stuff that's beating him, and the adjustments are good. They're just, you'd like to have that stuff up top.
Yeah. And I agree with you there. I mean, it's a hard thing to ask the kid to do. I mean, this is not who he is. He's brand new at it. And so he's figuring it out as he goes, but it's something that I hope improves as the season goes along. So we'll see.
Got to get better, especially like next week. It's going to be Dylan Gabriel and the Browns offense.
And that's really the big thing is especially with that Browns defense, you do not want to give them the opportunity to pin the ears back and come after you because you're losing to the freaking Cleveland Browns and you have no choice but to, sling it or whatever. You know what I mean? That can't happen. And so, I'm concerned about that. But I ultimately, I'm not super concerned about it, but I am worried that that's going to be the situation that they're going to be in. That's how, in my opinion, at least, that's how you can lose the game.
100%. That's the worrying situation there.
Right.
The defense has to play better early. That said, still the overall numbers in this game. Yeah, Tennessee actually ends up outpassing you, it's very funny to me.
Yeah.
But I think you get 5 sacks, some really good ones. If we're doing players who are up today, Caleb Jason certainly has to be on this list.
Mm-hmm.
2 sacks and a touchdown. He had a very nice day for himself.
Yeah.
Milton Williams had a hell of a sack where
Yes, he did.
it was 3rd down and he just swallowed up Cam Ward. He had nowhere to go. And then Harold Landry with a sack.
Mm-hmm.
And his return.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I thought that, Barmore, I thought, played pretty well. Like, the defense played well in that second half after those first few drives. And, it's really it was good to see. The pass rush was having a hard time getting to him early. And then once they did, they were all over him. I thought that the Harold Landry sack was an awesome sack because he came from so far outside, got blocked by the tight end, and then just ran straight across the offensive line and ended up getting a sack. And I just thought it was like such a heady play by him because he was the outside guy, but he saw where Cam Ward was. He saw that he went to the left of the center, and he just said, well, I can go get him right here, and you're not looking, he's not looking at him. So also Murph mentioned Mapu, and Mapu played pretty well today too. So that's, it's
led the team in tackles.
Yeah. And I think that, you're starting to see their linebackers play better. Tavai played pretty well today. I thought that Splain played pretty well. So it's like you're starting to see their linebackers play better. And again, the offense isn't great, but nevertheless, it's still good to see those guys play well. So, a long way to go, and let's see how they play when they get actual good NFL offenses. But I was happy to see them play so well today down in Tennessee. So
well, and you look at Tennessee's drives in the second half. Their first play is that ball where Cam Ward loses the ball. That technically goes down as a sack, I believe. That's a sack. So if that drive ends in a sack, their second possession, 3rd and 1, Milton Williams sack. Their next possession of the second half, 3rd and 5, sack. And then their next one is a turnover on downs, but the play before the 4th down is a sack. So the fact that you're able to get drive-ending sacks on the 4 first possessions of the second half there is exactly what you needed. And then you get a pick to finish things off there with Marcus Jones at the end. And on Caleb Jason's touchdown, he gets to the quarterback on that one and draws a holding penalty in the process. Like he won that rep as well as you possibly can.
And I've hated on Jason quite a few times. And I thought at times he's disappeared a little bit here and there, but I think he generated a ton of pressures last week. Obviously he had a good game today. And I just think that, this is a situation where he has played pretty well all year long. Not great, but pretty well all year long. And I've been happy to see it. So
I think Harold Landry and Caleb Jason have played well in their roles. I do think edge defender is the spot. Like, you would love to see one of Chasen or Landry be their 3rd edge rusher instead of their 2nd.
I agree.
You just want to bump in one spot down the depth chart, and you're going to feel a lot better about where you're at there. Just because Chasen's inconsistent, and he's not. Neither of those edge guys seem to be guys who generate a lot of pressures without sacks. Like Chasen will generate some pressures there. Landry seems to be a lot like just a cleanup guy.
Right. Well, and I also think too that what I'm looking at is, first of all, you're not getting a number 1 guy unless you're somehow trading for Trey Hendrickson or something like that.
And I don't think the Bengals are trading him after.
I can't imagine they're gonna. But
they still think they have a chance, which is what matters here.
Yeah. Right. So.
I don't think that's something you're fixing this year, but I do think, you go back to this year's draft class on a day where outside of your top 2 edge rushers, Keon White gives you nothing. Elijah Polliner doesn't give you anything and has a penalty on special teams.
Yeah.
A day like this is one where you would love to say, we could come away from it saying, man, Braden Swinson had 2 pressures today when they put him in the second half. Like
Right.
that's the kind of performance we were looking for from him, and he just can't even crack this roster
Can't
right
even
now.
get on the
So
field. Yeah,
the fact that he's behind 2 different UDFAs on this depth chart in Elijah Ponder and Truman Jones, and like
it's not a good sign. Certainly not a good
and the
sign.
fact that they're looking for edge defenders on the trade market too. I think doesn't mean that Swinson can't be anything for this team, but I think it does say that they don't think he's going to be anything this year.
Right.
Which is tough from someone. A lot of people liked him.
Yeah. I agree with you. And I think, I will say Joshua Farmer, I think, has shown up a heck of a lot more than Swinson has. And I think he's played decently well when he's been in there. And so, that pick at least feels like a win for the Patriots, but certainly not the Braden Swinson pick. But we'll see.
And Durden, I think, has been fine. They just have depth there. I really like their defensive tackle room, and I don't really think you need to touch anything there in the short term, at least. Edge, you could look at a guy. Defensive back to me is so weird. Like, you do need another safety. Del Pettis is a special teamer.
Right.
Kyle Duggar just doesn't have it anymore. So when you have Hawkins go down, you just don't love your depth there. Doesn't need to be something right now, but like it basically all depends on what's available and how far you want to accelerate this track, because you should be a playoff team this year with a quarterback who's playing well. You should make sure you have a real chance to win this year because this team is good.
I agree.
You're not mortgaging the future for it because you got a quarterback who looks like he could be playing at an MVP level on the rookie contract for 2 more years after this, and then the 5th-year extension. Like,
you're not giving up a ton to get those guys, or you're not necessarily worried about. You're not necessarily worried about. I think for me at least, I'm not giving up a ton to get a guy, and I'm also not giving up a guy, or I'm also not getting a guy that has a huge contract in front of him or something like that. But I just think that there's a situation for the Patriots where you look at it and say, yeah, we have the opportunity right here, and you don't want to blow it this year, right? Yeah. So we'll see. Again, give yourself a guy that can help you out in the short term and not cripple you in the long term either.
Well, I think you go look at the Titans today. Jihad Ward, I think, had a good day for them. Arden Key is a solid player. 2 edge rushers who they're selling off guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arden Key was there with Vrabel. Jihad Ward, I don't know if he's played with Vrabel before, but similar type of guy. And it's he didn't. He hasn't played with Vrabel before, but
but either way,
2 players there that make me go, that could be. Just ask him to be your third edge rusher right now and give you a little bit more pop, because Keon White's not doing it, and after that, things really fall off the depth chart.
Yeah, Keon White's not doing a thing for you. I mean, he's just useless out there. So,
and Anthony Jennings is fine, but he's been a little bit banged up, and like he's not a scheme fit. There was talk about trading him, and I like that because I don't think his stock's going to get higher than it is right now with this scheme. So if you can sell high on him and get anything back, I think
he is a solid edge defender. He's just not a great edge rusher.
Yeah, and he's
so
not
it's
a
just
penetrator. He's a 2-gapper. So like, get him in like a scheme that likes to stand up outside linebacker that plays contain.
Right.
A team like that will love him, and I'm
he's
sure
a
you can
clear,
get a pick back.
He's a clear NFL player. NFL player.
Yeah.
But he's just not. He's not really a fit for this team. Unfortunately, and I love him. I think he's a great player, and I think that a team is going to be lucky to have him. But I don't think that he fits this scheme, and he certainly doesn't help what the Patriots need, which is a pass rusher.
Yeah, and you could sell him off and then go get a guy like an Arden Key or whatever, Jihad Ward, and just be like, okay, this is
right, and have it be the same type of deal.
Yep, same tier, but you're finding somebody that fits what you do better.
Exactly.
Fits your needs. Yeah. I have one last note here.
Yeah.
Did you see the whole locker room thing after this game?
It was awesome.
Yeah, for those
I
who
didn't see the whole
see-
thing. I just saw it was just a minute video, the one I saw.
Okay. You saw the part with Drake May, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. For those who haven't seen, go watch the locker room post game because Vrabel does his speech and he goes to tell the team to break it down and he's going to go walk off and do his own thing. And Drake May steps in and stops him and has everyone, I think they give a game ball to Vrabel and they celebrate that he got to beat his former team.
Yeah.
And it stood out to me because I think that's the first time that we have seen Drake May step in with some confidence and some authority and take lead in that kind of way. And there's been a very clear push from the organization, especially from Vrabel, for him to take that role on.
Yeah.
And I just know Vrabel is loving this.
Oh yeah.
That's he's got to be psyched that they wanted to I'm sure he doesn't even care that he cares a little bit, but he's not even caring as much about getting the ball and beating Tennessee. It's our quarterbacks doing the little things and the mental things and the leadership things in addition to doing what he's doing on the field.
Correct. Yep. That's so good. So that was it was good to see. It was really good to see. So
I just saw the Patriots that they're opening as 7.5-point favorites next week against Cleveland. That feels steep to me only because I don't know if 10 points are going to get scored in this game.
Well, that's the issue that I have is that their defense is so good. I don't know. That's their defense is so good that you worry about, can you win by 7 points? So, but
yeah, that's for next week.
Yep,
got to be happy with this win. Anything else for you, Pat?
That's all I got, man. We talked about Marcus. We talked about a lot of the stuff there, man. I just am happy to go down there and win. I think too, one of the big things for me about this was that they could have very easily turtled and just basically said we should have crushed this team. We really wanted this for our head coach and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And they didn't. And I think that showed a lot of maturity. I think it showed a lot of poise from them. They never panicked. They never tried to do too much. They kind of let the game come to them. And, it ended up winning the game. And that's what really impressed me about this game. Obviously, you get the win, and that's great. But, it was so much more than that, too. And I was impressed with the way that they played at the end of the game after being down 10-3 and then being down 13-10. I was impressed with the way they played after that.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So anyways, that's what we got. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. The chat was wild tonight. We appreciate you guys coming through and chatting and talking, and hope you hope you come back on Thursday night when we come and talk about the Browns-Patriots matchup for next weekend. But yeah, that's it. Thanks, everyone. Be good to each other and go Pats.